Exploring horizons where sacred traditions, modern science meet to support your whole self. I'm your host, Saima, and tonight we are joined by a visionary whose journey from pain to purpose redefines holistic healing. Trent Hatch is the founder of Champa, a company that beautifully blends Tibetan medicine, plant wisdom, and a spiritual science. From a traumatic assault to healing his mother with natural formulations, Trent's path is rooted in love, resilience, and deep service. Tonight, he shares how calm, abiding mindfulness and therapeutic based medicine can transform how we live, breathe, and heal. So, Trent, your healing story is incredibly layered. So, what was the first moment that shifted your mindset from survival to healing?
I think it was hitting rock bottom and just really getting to a point where nothing was working and I needed to find something that would work and really surrendering my will to the universe and just asking for help, whatever that took shape as. And it was really setting that intention that
Hmm.
started to enlighten the path for my own healing. And as I stuck with that intention, more things unfolded and I found what I needed to find that path to healing, not just my body, but my mind and my spirit as well.
So, how did the trauma of your injury become the doorway to founding Jampa?
Well, I went um, from owning a security company and working with bodyguards and protection specialists and private investigators. And after I broke my leg, I was unable to do any of that work. And I'd never really been an administrative type of person. I was always very hands on, and so it was difficult for me to stay in that field of work with my body broken the way that it was. And so if I hadn't have had that experience, broke my leg and gone through all of that trauma, I would have never found a path to find Tibetan medicine. And it was really out of desperation that I started to look. But as I started to find things that would work for myself, it really emboldened and increased my desire to help other people. And that I think is a big part of our own healing. When we're giving of ourselves to others, we're really only healing ourselves. And that was part of my understanding that I had to come to. And when I did, the shackles of illness and sickness and injury started to loosen, and now I have a new lease on life, and I'm able to do the things that I was before I broke my leg, and largely taking care of the pain that went with it.
Mm-hmm. It's often in our most painful chapters that our life's deepest calling.
Yeah, I felt a calling towards plant medicine and mineral medicine, and I didn't really know anything about it. But within a few weeks of asking the universe for help, I started to meet experts in cannabinoids and terpenes and other plant medicine modalities, and started to really become aware of an ocean of healing that's out there that Mother Nature has prepared for us. And I just wasn't tapped into any reliable knowledge on how to harness and use that. And so I started to look for, where was that knowledge being kept in its entirety and in purity. And I looked at different traditions of healing and different lineage-based plant medicines, but something about Tibetan medicine always resonated with me, which is why, I named the company Jampa. Jampa is a Tibetan word that means loving kindness. And that was what we really wanted to portray into the world and offer as a pathway to healing is love and kindness and understanding for people's situation without judgment and just supporting them as best as we can. And it wasn't until about 2 years into creating Japa that a Tibetan physician, Aochi Tubdan Lekshi, found us. He saw what we were doing with terpenes and saw that there was some common ground and wanted to come and share what he'd learned over the last 50 years as a Tibetan medicine physician, and really expanded my awareness and knowledge exponentially. And over the course of about a year, when we first met, we aligned ourselves and brought our companies together. And now, what was Jampa and a desire to help people heal with love and kindness has turned into a fully stocked Tibetan pharmacy that's been curated and prepared and designed over the last 50 years of Amchi's experience formulating. And so now the gift we have to share with the world is really the expression of his life's work. And for those who don't know, Amchi Tugden Lekshi is a physician of Tibetan medicine. He was one of the first Westerners in 1972 to be given a path to become a Tibetan physician, and was also given lineage into an ancient medicine science from Tibet called Sularinpa, which means that he is a master physician and master pharmacologist for botanicals and minerals. And so that wisdom has been brought here from Tibet specifically to adapt these formulas and this system of healing for Western physiologies. For us here in the West, and the type of toxins and environments that we're in are very different to what a traditional Tibetan person may be experiencing, in the East. And so we've created a system of healing that's safe, it's effective, it doesn't cause any interactions. It's very intelligent in the way that it integrates and communicates with the body, which means it's safe. And, in the past 5 years of us working together, I haven't seen a reaction or a negative response to any medicines from anybody. That's even people that are taking multiple Western medicines and are very sick. And so it's been a journey for me to heal myself. But now that part's largely taken care of, it's become a wish and a desire for us to help anyone that comes across our path heal. And so we're constantly creating new formulas and putting missing pieces to what we have available in the pharmacy in place so that we can accommodate and support just about anything.
So you explored everything from CBD to Suarikpa. So why is it important to merge modern plant medicine with ancient Tibetan healing?
Yeah, even in the 70s, Hamchi shared an experience with me of him witnessing the terpenes being evaporated from the plants as they were being dried. And he had a conversation with his physician teacher there. And it was, basically understood that terpenes weren't able to be extracted to put them back into the formulations, and drying was a necessary part of their formulation. And so he made a mental note and an intention that one day those terpenes would be able to be isolated in a purity that can be recombined into synergistic combinations that support the healing potential of the herbs, of the botanicals. And for those who don't know what terpenes are the life force energy of the plant, revered in Ayurveda, Tibetan medicine, and Chinese medicine as the spiritual energy that leaves the plant at the time of drying. And so when you bring these terpenes back into traditional botanical herbal formulations, you're in its essence reanimating with spirit the healing potential of the plant. And this brings an intelligence and dimension of support that has been missing from plant medicine for a long time. And so by combining these terpenes back into the traditional Tibetan formulations and also new formulations for Western physiologies, we've really advanced Tibetan medicine with the accompaniment of Western medicine and modern science. If it wasn't for the hemp industry here in the West, we probably wouldn't have the level of terpenes that we have available to us now. And so that's a very unique part of what we do. And in a nutshell, is how we have really significantly advanced the expression of plant medicine.
Mm-hmm. So what wisdom from your teacher Amche Tuptan Lakshi has stayed closest to your heart?
Probably the heart. You hit the nail on the head there. I had a very different spiritual path growing up, and was grew up Christian. Didn't really know much about Buddhism. Thought it was a religion, and as I've come to learn from him, I realized that Buddhism really is a science of the mind. It's understanding how our mind works, and that science leads to an awareness within the heart. And when we're living from our heart's intelligence, not so much from our thoughts that we fabricate in our mind, we open ourselves up to an alignment with divine will where everything just becomes easier. Things start to flow, synchronicities are bound, and the universe is gently lighting the path every step of the way for you. And so, bringing an awareness to that heart-centeredness and its importance in, helping others to heal is really something that he illuminated for me that I wasn't fully aware of before. And so that's just one of many, many wonderful jewels of wisdom that I've picked up from Amchi over these years. But in a real sense, the compassion and the love that I've seen from him to his patients and to me and to the people that we serve is almost unfathomable. And so that's been a huge support and example to me of how to serve and how to do it with love and compassion and humility.
Mhm. It's rare to see such reference for both science and spirit, and it's a path of integration, not opposition, no.
Yeah, bringing the mind, the body, and the spirit into awareness for healing is absolutely imperative. I was constantly trying to address my physical ailments, but wasn't addressing the PTSD that I'd been diagnosed with, the anxiety that I had been diagnosed with. Those are mental and emotional and spiritual things I wasn't putting any attention to, and that's why my healing wasn't successful. And so, in understanding that the mind and the body and the spirit are inseparably connected, and that to heal one, we have to address the other, that was a huge aha moment for me. And it really led to a faster acceleration in my healing process because now I can address all three at once and do it through these medicines because they really do support the physical aspect of healing as well as the spiritual and emotional aspects of healing. And in my search to heal myself, I'd found nothing on the planet with consistency that was able to provide support for all three. It was always one or two, but never three. And so that's been a huge blessing that has come about thanks to these products is that emphasis on supporting the mind, the body, and the spirit. And when that happens, we awaken and activate our own innate healing wisdom that exists in every one of our cells. And when we start integrating that wisdom into our lives, healing takes flight, and our minds, our bodies, and our spirits start to get lighter and healthier, and eventually leads to a state of homeostasis and balance and vitality. And that's the place that we want all of our customers and family to get to, is to be beyond the physical ailments and addressing the things that are affecting us on a more subtle level and even on a subconscious level. Really good example of how we do this is the healing heart formula. We created that for people that were having a hard time responding physically to their healing protocols, largely because they had experienced some form of trauma or emotional abuse or experience that was traumatic that had stayed stuck in the neural network of their hearts, which means that emotions and experiences are blocking the healing from happening on the physical level. And so we created this formula, Healing Heart, to address not just the physical aspects of healing the heart, but the spiritual and the emotional aspects of how the heart operates. And so creating that formula, we shared it with about 10 of our customers who are having difficulties getting the results they wanted from their protocols. And across the board, every one of them, their trajectory changed almost immediately. And we started receiving reports of people letting go of energies, not even remembering or knowing what it was, but just a gentle letting go. Sometimes it was with tears, sometimes it was with laughter, sometimes it was described as just a weight being lifted from them. And so that aspect of healing I found nowhere and wasn't even aware that was needed in my healing journey. And so bringing awareness to the mind, the body, and the spirit being inseparably connected has been a huge part of my journey and in helping to educate others.
Mm-hmm. Now, calm abiding is such a beautiful practice. So, how has it helped you?
Yeah, calm abiding is a Tibetan Buddhist practice that I took up about 3 years ago, and it changed my life. It's, in a nutshell, sitting in a state of awareness where you're aware of your thoughts and your emotions, but you're non-reactive to them. And so that meditation that I did every day for years, for about 30 or 40 minutes, it changed the trajectory of my PTSD, my anxiety. It started to really help those things to dissolve. And so it became, the first thing I'd want to do when I wake up every morning was my calm abiding meditation, because it brought me into a state of peace within my mind, my body, and my spirit that allowed that healing to accelerate and happen on a deeper level. Before calm abiding, I really hadn't been a big meditator. I thought, I had never really connected with that aspect of myself. But calm abiding showed me a way to do that was constructive and intuitive and a way that I can understand. And that's now progressed into greater states of awareness and new forms of meditation and non-meditation. But for anybody that's looking for an entry point into meditation, I would strongly encourage you to look at calm abiding.
So, can you share one simple way to bring that mindfulness into a busy, chaotic day?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're in a unconscious state, you're just going through the motions. That means you're out of awareness. Awareness is complete awareness in the moment, present, aware of everything that's happening, but non-reactive to anything that's happening. You're just in a state of presence. And so, calm abiding leads you to be able to sit in that energy and stay in that state, which essentially means that your awareness is burning up any of those discordant thoughts or emotions before they become something that you react to, which leaves you in a state of peace and happiness, which is where we all want to be. And so now, instead of doing a calm abiding meditation where I sit with my eyes closed every morning, I do it throughout the day and stay in that state of awareness as much as I can. And it's, you fall out of it, but as soon as you realize that you fall out about that you're falling out of that state of awareness, you snap right back into it. And so a lot of it is reminding yourself when you enter a state of low consciousness that there's a higher state of awareness, and then that's where really the magic is and where you want to remain.
Hmm. It's like when one person.
Yeah, the way that we talk to ourselves is really huge. Every cell in our body has its own microscopic ear, and that ear is listening to our intentions, our thoughts, our emotions, and reacting to them. And so when we are communicating with ourselves, when we're using positive intentions and affirmations and giving intelligent support and guidance to our own bodies, our cells are listening. But so often we give those messages and then later on we rescind them by unconscious statements about ourselves or lack of belief in ourselves. And so we take the wind out of ourselves effectively ourselves. And so staying in that state of openness and awareness is really the key to happiness and contentment and staying in the world but not of the world. That for me has been the greatest gift of all of the things that I've been learning on this journey with Tibetan medicine and Tibetan Buddhism is understanding how important it is to remain in that state of awareness.
Now, you often say that loving kindness must always guide the healing path. So, what does that look like when applied to ourselves first?
A lot of us, for myself included, a lot of us have a hard time healing because we don't allow ourselves to heal. We hold ourselves responsible for something. We don't forgive ourselves for something. It's really important that we love ourselves and learn to do that because until we love ourselves, it's really hard to love anybody else, at least in a meaningful way. We want to and we have good intentions, but I've learned that loving yourself is absolutely imperative to healing because without that love, it's fleeting. Sometimes you get progress, but things start to fall back into the way that they were. And so love, is the energy that really helps all of us to heal, and kindness is what activates that love and that healing energy. It's the vehicle that love is expressed through. And that's why, we have a philosophy where we never turn anybody down that's in need of medicine, no matter what their financial situation is. We have a loving kindness assistance program where we help people who are without means to be able to get the medicine they need to heal. And that part of our ethos has really been the generator for most of our business and the way that we've expanded and grown as a company, helping people that were beyond help and having them share it with their friends and their loved ones who can see the difference. And now they want to understand and know what they've been using and taking and experiencing so they can do that for themselves.
Mhm. Now, for someone feeling disconnected or disillusioned, what first step they can take towards reconnect?
Yeah, setting an intention is the very first and most important thing. It's having that intention to be connected. And then keeping yourself in an environment and immersing your mind in things that support that.
Hmm. You know, sometimes the medicine isn't in the supplement or the ritual, it's in how gently we choose to speak to ourselves, right?
Yeah, the language of faith. The words that we use, they largely shape our reality. One of the things Amchi taught me when I first met him was, abracadabra. Our words are magic. And so when we're constantly empowering our bodies and our minds and our spirits and our cells with pure healing intentions for vitality and balance and connection, and really staying focused on point with that message. Our cells have no choice but to respond. It's when we get wishy-washy in our intentions and we're all gung-ho and happy and motivated one day, and then the next day we're talking down to ourselves like nothing happens right, we can't do anything right. Those mixed emotions and signals make it hard for ourselves to know which direction to go. And so it's really important to communicate in a way that's consistent and you know, with a foundation of love. We have to communicate with ourselves with love before we can communicate with anyone else with love.
Thank you, Trinhaj, for sharing your sacred journey and reminding us that true healing is a harmony of mind, body, and spirit. Until next time, honor your breath, trust your body, and walk your healing path with love.